David with EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock market. So I'm back today on a Tuesday with our founder and chief editor, Bill Moore. How's it going, Bill?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right. Well, we've got lots of good stuff to cover today.
Oh,
I did
yeah.
I did want to just real briefly mention, though, that we've got some, prospectively good things for EV World coming down the pike in terms of EV charging and distribution. And maybe, if somebody's looking to distribute EV chargers in the US, they need to reach out to us. So I've got some really good opportunity.
Reach out to that guy over there.
Yeah, reach out to me. Yeah. But anyways, talking to one of my counterparts, he was talking about the stark differences between EVs and other parts of the world versus the US. And it was really just interesting to see because 30 million. So my friend is living in the Guangzhou province of China, and he says there's about 30 million people in that province.
Yeah.
And that's about the size of California, right?
Right.
So he says that for 30 million people, there are 3 million electric vehicles. Now, he didn't say if those were cars, motorcycles, three-wheelers,
right,
or what that may be. That could be a whole lot of different things. But they have 1 million public chargers. Now, that could also be level 2 chargers and level 3 DC chargers.
Right.
But that is a staggering number. We only have about 250,000 fast chargers, or I should say public chargers in the entire United States.
Right.
And a lot of those are level 2.
Most of those are, I'd say a fair share of them are level 2, other than basically the Tesla supercharger network.
Yeah. And so it's just staggering that one province that's 1/10 the size of the US can have 4 times as many charge points as we have in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the reality. He and I were talking, and the US is realistically 10 years behind the rest of the world. And, we'll see where.
And falling further behind, unfortunately.
Yeah, maybe. I think I'm looking at the German model. So Germany got rid of the incentives, 2 years ago, and they saw
that's a good point.
They saw about a 30% drop in EV sales for about 6 months.
And then it came back up.
And then it went right back, and then they set new records this past year.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was in 23 when they dropped them. And I think that you're probably going to see a similar situation here. But
I wouldn't surprise me. I'd be delighted, actually. So
in the Omaha metro, the more you go west, where people have higher incomes and all that, the more EVs you see.
Oh yeah.
Okay? You see you'll occasionally see a Lucid. You'll see a whole lot of other ones that we just don't see here because EVs haven't taken off the same way here. But you see a whole lot more when you're out, like all the way out west to like 204th, going up and down 204th.
Right.
You see lots of EVs. When you come over here to like 72nd, so that's 13 miles. That's 13 miles further east. You don't see them as often.
No, you don't.
But when you get out west, where the really expensive homes are and stuff like that, and you see lots of them, and so there's still, even though EVs are coming down in price quickly, it still hasn't really moved down the economic ladder.
Yeah. So let me illustrate, because today is the final day, right? Today is 30th. After today at midnight or whatever, that's it. Although that's not quite true, as we could probably talk about. But basically, the $7,500 tax credit and the $4,000 for the used one go away at midnight. Well, 11:59 or whatever it is today. So we have every year the Sierra Club and the Plug-in America folks in California have this annual plug-in events, vary. So we're having one this coming Friday, which I'm going to be at showing my Bolt. So we'll probably have to skip me on Friday from doing the interview.
I'm speaking at Earthstock in Santa Monica on Friday, anyways.
Okay, so great. So one of the person that's this being done at Creighton University in their mall area, and the young lady who's helping us coordinate this just got her 2023 Chevrolet Bolt, and she said, "I rushed to get it. I just got it so I could take advantage of, guess what? The
The tax credit.
$4,000 tax credit." So so in fact, the cars, these used cars on the used EVs are just apparently going like hotcakes from what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm sure. Yeah, you have to have your paperwork submitted today to get the thing.
Right.
There's some talk that you could order, like say you ordered a Tesla today or something like that, and you didn't get it delivered for 2 months, it still qualifies as long as you have your paperwork in the day.
Right. So what Ford and GM have done is they talked to the IRS, and the IRS said, well, if they asked, well, what if we buy the cars, right? Buy our own cars, and then we distribute them out to the dealers who can then lease them. Can we get an extension on this? And guess what? They did.
They said yes. Oh,
they said yes. Yeah. So so basically you've got now till the end of the year. Again, assuming you go down and get some paperwork done, you've got to the end of the year to take advantage of the $7,500 or $4,000 tax credit. Now, I don't know. Do they?
So it was just Ford and GM, or did some other companies?
No, just the article just refers specifically to Ford and General Motors. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you Tesla does it too.
Oh,
I just can't imagine if they heard that they certainly would have figured out some way to do that. That's kind of an interesting way to make that work. So I know with like the $4,000 one, the dealers can't take it, but that's different because they're not then leasing it. So what Ford and GM are doing, their leasing divisions are buying the vehicles.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a little different. I'm sure Tesla could do the same thing. Tesla has even been leasing out the used Teslas now.
Yeah.
So they've even got a lease program for that. But the Motley Fool, we had that article from them. Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid will have their fortunes changed forever today, September 30th, courtesy of President Donald Trump. It certainly has given EVs an edge, but like I said, I look at the German model, and I suspect we follow a similar trajectory. It'll go down for a few months.
Fingers crossed.
Well, I look at, like I was saying, the changes in so many countries, and I realize a lot of these countries are subsidized. China's subsidized. The Scandinavian countries are subsidized. There's definitely a lot of that going on, but nothing can dispute the rapid fall of battery prices.
Yep.
And when batteries are the most expensive part of the car, that continuously going down just is going to keep making them cheaper. So it's interesting.
And just the pure economics, of so much more convenient and easier. Of course, again, that's if you live place where you can plug in at home, or you've got it charging that your employer allows you to do at work. Those kinds of scenarios. If you're living in a condominium complex someplace where you don't have access to easy charging, it's another thing. But this is I could see this happening. I could see, and we get through a rough period here. You got holidays coming up, and then you got tax season. But after that, getting into the spring, because you've got some new models coming on. You've got the Bolt coming out. What was the one I just saw, and I can't remember the name of it. That's also just rolling out here the first of the year. So, we're going to see some, again, new product coming on. And then, of course, what happens if we start getting Xiaomis?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Some of those cars here, that's going to really upset the Apple car.
It is. Bobby, I think I disagree. So rapid depreciation of EVs will accelerate. So I'm not so sure. What's going to happen is the price they're going to have on the sticker, that's going to be the price. It's no longer going to be that price minus $7,500. So what's going to happen is, because right now your EV depreciation, that $7,500 is a depreciation hit the car takes the day it rolls off the lot. And, so that's one of the main reasons why EVs are shown as depreciating so quickly. So I don't know. I really don't think you're going to see the same depreciation you've seen. And the other thing is, if it slows down the sale of new EVs, then the used EVs are probably going to retain value a little bit better. People will probably look at used EVs a little bit more, and so that'll probably stabilize the price of the used EVs a little bit. And so you're probably going to see that magical $25,000 price of every EV. A lot of those cars are probably going to settle back at around 30,000, I suspect, because a lot of dealers were trying so hard to only buy the EVs that qualified for the $4,000. So, but you never know. You never know where that's going to go. It's all speculative, right? And we just got to see where things play out.
Exciting times.
It is. All right, Bill, let's talk about your discussion about, did scientists just figure out why people die a decade earlier in the Southeast United States? So that's kind of interesting. So the average age at death in the Southeast United States is 66.8. And I guess that's 10 years earlier than the average for the US. So you watch this. So you want
so what the thesis here is that we know there are a numbers, the deaths that we can actually count attributable to a hurricane passing, through Florida or into the Georgia and the Carolinas, that type of, those deaths you can pretty well attribute, they drowned, they got struck by a tree falling on their car, they got electrocuted by down power. Those kind of things you can account for. And in fact, from what they're saying in the video, is those numbers have actually been going down because they're, the improvements in infrastructure and warnings and things like that. But what they've noticed is that if you take the accumulative effect where you destroy, let's say, bridges across the islands in Florida, and you rip up, housing developments and infrastructure, things like that in Georgia or the Carolinas, and so that has an impact on the budgets of those communities, whether it's a city budget or whether it's a county budget or state budget. It has an impact. So what might have been used for, doing some future improvement for project, that has to now be built to rebuild that causeway out to that island, off the Florida coast or whatever, or replace and fix the factory. So what is the impact of those issues? Well, there are health issues that are involved in that involve economics and involve, again, the local communities. So they're saying that if you begin to tabulate those deaths and the reverberating impact going down the line, you keep piling these crises one on top of the other, you end up getting actually a larger mortality impact than you would get just by counting the individual deaths attributed to some hurricane that came through. So that's the thrust of it.
So I'm betting I bet they're not factoring in all the Canadian tourists that live in Florida. See, and Bobby here saying he's already beating the odds because he's outlived the average there. So you're doing great there, Bobby.
Well, good for you, Bobby.
Yeah. And Bobby has to contend with Florida Man. So Florida Man does all kinds of strange things. I watched a video once of a Florida man carrying an alligator going into a convenience store to buy beer while carrying the alligator in one arm while he's trying to buy beer. So I'm just saying.
It was his, what do they call those? Comfort? Support? It was his support gator. His emotional support gator.
Yeah. One time, you were asking me about alcohol before, and we had a distiller go missing. We couldn't reach him, and that's when that video came out. I'm like, hey, I sent to one of my partners, look, I found him. He's in Florida, and this is our guy, and the guy was later arrested. When he was released, he didn't remember that he had actually done this.
Oh
That he
yeah.
was being interviewed. He didn't remember anything about running around with the alligator in his hands. Yeah,
Oh my
but
God.
no, I lived in the South for a long time. I lived in Florida for 13 years. I lived in Tennessee for 20 years. Let's just face it, people are fat. Okay. You have really bad rates of obesity,
Yeah.
smoking,
Yeah.
alcoholism, poor eating. I'm not sure that the weather is really, I'm not saying it couldn't have an effect, but just the level of fitness isn't the same. I mean,
Well, yeah.
I play tennis, okay, and I play it all the time. I'm on the tennis court
Right.
every single day. Okay.
Right.
The average tennis player outlives the average person by 10 years. Okay. And it's the one sport. The next closest is like badminton. It's like 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Running is only 3. And almost all their sports are in the 3 to 4 year range of adding to longevity. Tennis is 10. Okay. And now some of that's socioeconomic, right? People who play tennis tend to also eat better. They, probably getting better health care. There's a lot of, factors.
And they probably have a little bit more, income to work with. So.
Right. I get that, but I'm just saying, I watch lots of, YouTube channels related to longevity and, best practices and things like that. And about the number one thing to improve longevity is your VO2 max. And so that's your just ability to, work hard for a long period of time.
Explain that. What is VO2
So
max?
it's the volume of oxygen. It basically has to do with when you're traveling, like running, jogging, you're at your maximum oxygen your body can work. Okay. People with the highest levels of VO2 max have a 5-fold reduction in all-cause mortality. But you can actually, just by simply walking every day for 30 minutes, not even being strenuous, you can almost get a 3x reduction in all-cause mortality. The key is simply to get off the damn couch.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Get a dog. Make sure you have to walk the dog. Something like that. I mean, yeah. I'm just saying it's simple things. And I realize that we talk about, the climate and things like that. I'm not saying that people aren't, dying from the weather, because there's certainly been some bad tornadoes and
they're not they're not dying from the weather. I mean, it's the point
they're saying it's from the stress. They're trying to say they're dying from the stress.
It's from the ripple effect of all of the impact that comes after that. Generally, we sent FEMA down there, the Red Cross is down there, we can forget about it, let's move on. But that's not, in fact, how it. Remember the guy was talking about the guys with the airplane, right? Where they rescued the airplane where the thing had been in that one of those floods in North Carolina, and the floodwaters had been up to the instrument panel in this little experimental home built,
Right.
So, all right, they rescued that airplane, but what about all the other things that were buried and all of the other, the oil from cars, that were flooded, and just all those kinds of things that we tend to forget about because we move on. Well, these guys we're tabulating those things and tracing it. So I think it's a good, we can argue about, how impactful that is. I think it's worth, taking, I think, 10 minutes or something like that and watch the video. See what gets done by NPR. So take that for what it's worth, depending on your political leanings. I happen to like them, but that's just me. So yeah, take a look at that. I think I found.
I didn't read the comments.
Well, did you? I don't know.
I read the comments.
And the comment. Well, I can imagine where those are coming from.
Yeah, I mean, they were all like, "Oh, good, I can just go eat deep fried Oreos and not worry about it." There was a lot of comments from people in the South, talking about the same things I was saying. So, it's just You
You
it's
have
different.
more. You have more experience in that. I lived in West Virginia, in the
Mhm.
very southern tip of West Virginia, in the middle of the coal fields for 5.5 years.
Well, and I bet the life expectancy is terrible there.
Oh, well, that clean coal.
That clean coal, yeah, there
That
you
all
go.
that clean coal. I had friends of mine and parishioners back when I was in my ministerial phase,
Hmm.
who would come home just like the photograph that is on the website there.
Hmm.
Literally, that's what these guys look like. They'd have to take their clothes off, hang it in the shed or the porch area outside the thing, and then go take a shower every night because they were just literally black. And I can't imagine what their lungs look like.
No,
So
I'm sure it's terrible. I mean, there's no question
there's
that
nothing
that's terrible.
there's
Yeah.
nothing clean about coal. Sorry, Donnie.
Can we stop calling it clean coal? Let's call it green coal.
That's even worse.
I
Hey,
know.
now, that being said, it used to be green,
Hmm.
right? There used to be vegetation over the course that built up over the course of tens of millions of years. So, yeah, it was green at one time. I think Tom Hartman referred to it as, what was it, fossil sunshine.
Yeah, I've got somebody who's selling hydrogen fuel cells. Okay,
Okay.
but he's filling them, creating the hydrogen from the heat off gas turbines.
Oh, sure. Why
Okay,
not? At least they're getting
yeah,
a little extra use.
yeah, they're squeezing a little extra use out of them, and data centers want to buy that so they can have a little bit of green energy in their space. And I'm like, you're creating this with gas turbines?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's like, oh God, people will, I just like, well, that's the same idea of using the heat off of a fourth generation nuclear reactor, to do that, except that we don't have the emissions from the gas turbines. Yeah, but anyways, it's an interesting, I tell people all the time, everything in the energy space is a tool and a toolkit. I mean, there's no one type of energy that's ever going to rule them all. I saw recently somebody signed a $1 billion MOU to buy fusion nuclear energy. Now, folks, if you don't know, when you see nuclear power plants, it's all what's called fission. You're expanding the atom. In fusion, you're bringing the atoms together to create
Right.
energy.
Yeah.
But so far to date, while fusion reactions have been done, it requires more energy to do the reaction
Going in than getting out.
than you get
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Okay. But people theoretically, you should be able to make almost exponential energy with this. It's just nobody's been able to do it yet, but people are already signing MOUs.
You got to keep that star lit.
Yeah.
Once you get it lit, of course, then you're going to have to feed it. They have to continually feed the thing. But in fact, there's a company in Seattle. I just posted this one this morning. A company in Seattle that's talking about building a star in a jar.
It's like the elf on the shelf.
Yeah, like the elf on the shelf, star in a jar. So
nice. Yeah. So it's interesting because to create fusion energy, you have to use fission to create tritium. And the tritium then gets used to conduct the fusion reaction.
Right. Yep.
And then fusion has some byproduct then that you can reuse in fission. And so the two technologies run in tandem. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I just thought it was really interesting that somebody gave a $1 billion MOU for a technology where they haven't figured out how
to make it work yet. Yeah.
Yeah, because it theoretically on paper, the math says it works. They just haven't figured out how to contain it.
Yeah, a lot of that has to do with the material science that's involved. What materials do you use? We have a fusion reactor every day. Up there crosses the sky every day, but that's 93 million miles away. How do you do that? in
Yeah.
close proximity.
Well, the other thing was that tritium to generate, wasn't it like $1 million a gram or something
Yeah,
like that?
it's
It
like,
was some
wow.
enormous price that
Yeah,
tritium
yeah.
is worth, and you have to make that from a fission reactor. And so it's enormously expensive to run. So to even be doing fusion tests, you're burning millions of dollars of
Hmm.
tritium fuel, which has a short half-life. It has to be created and used within like 6 months to be able to make that work. So it's interesting,
Yeah.
stuff. All right. Electromagnetic containment, where the plasma never touches any surface. It's
Yeah.
always suspended. Okay. Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Well, that takes a hell of a lot of electricity to do that electromagnetic containment. So, yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's a wild ride, and I hope fusion works out. Okay, but if people will say that it's the end of it, it's just like 40 years ago when they said that nuclear was going to be free.
Oh, yeah. Longer than that is the Atoms for Peace
Right.
project that began under, was it Eisenhower in the 50s?
Yeah. And even before 3 Mile Island, they started figuring out, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission figured out how to make everything 10 times more expensive for nuclear reactors. So,
A lot of good that did.
yeah, well, in the short term, right? I mean, it's really interesting to look at doing stuff with fourth generation reactors, of which only one in the world commercially exists, and
Mhm.
so it's a matter of there being more of those at some point. Anyways,
I used to live just north of 3 Mile Island in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, so I know it well. I
well,
used
they're
to
bringing the jobs back there.
I used to picnic and I learned to water ski on the Susquehanna right next to the 3 Mile Island reactor.
Okay, so Chernobyl was bad, right? Well, we really have a real danger at Zaporizhia. Okay,
Hmm.
so in Ukraine, the Russians took control of the largest nuclear power plant in Europe. It's called Zaporizhia, and it sits on the Donetsk River. Am I saying
Yeah,
that
I
right?
think that's about right.
Yeah. Anyways, the power's been cut to it again. They keep so to run this generation 2 nuclear reactor that's been there for probably, I don't know if it predates
Probably 40,
Chernobyl or
50
not.
years.
So
Yeah.
Chernobyl was a combination Gen 1, Gen 2 reactor. Okay, it was really old technology. Zaporizhia is Gen 2. Okay, and they not had any nuclear incidents there, even though the thing's been hit a few times by artillery shells and other stuff. It's pretty durable. The problem they've got now is they have, supposedly the facility has fuel for generator, for like diesel generator backup for something like 30 days, but
Oh
the
God.
power keeps getting cut to the thing. And
And they need that to keep circulating the water and keeping the pools and things cool, I would assume.
yes, and yeah, so at some point it looks like Russia's trying to switch it and connect it to their own grid. Okay, because it's been connected to the Ukraine grid, and they're trying to switch it.
Well,
But
they got extra power now because all of the Baltic states,
mm,
Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, all those have now officially cut their grid, their connection to. They're no longer on the Russian grid.
oh, okay.
They're now entirely on the European grid, and they've just simply cut the Kaliningrad. That
Mhm.
Kaliningrad, they've cut the power to Kaliningrad now.
Oh, wow.
That's the primary Russian seaport power base, on the Baltic, other than up at St. Petersburg. So it's an interesting thing we're going to be watching here.
Yeah, and Ukraine has started attacking Russian electrical infrastructure. So that just
Interest,
started.
Interestingly, they have Russian partisans who
Hmm.
are Russian citizens who are taking out the power boxes that control the electricity that runs the electrical train services in the country. So
Yeah,
you've got internal sabotage starting to take place in Russia by Russian citizens.
yeah, it's interesting how that's all playing out. It's kind of a wild world. Anyways, I want to talk about the Flintstone style EV.
Now this one is new to
From
me.
a couple.
You're springing this one on me.
Okay, um, a French company called Cixi, Cixi.
Oh, that
It's
one.
a
Okay, no, I know which one you're talking
it
about now.
they call
Okay,
it Vigoz, the Vigoz,
right.
the the Cixi Vigoz.
Yep.
Is an honest to goodness pedal. It has pedals.
Uh-huh.
So we've talked about some pedaled vehicles on here before that also had battery. They only went like 20 to 28 miles per hour, right?
This one's different.
This one goes 75 miles per hour.
75
Okay.
miles an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. And it
Now
has
you got
three.
Lance Armstrong pedaling it, but
Yeah. Well, it's just an assist, but I wonder if you can just pedal backwards to stop it. So,
I don't know. That'd be interesting. Can you do regen braking in it? To slow it down. I don't know.
I can't tell if it's wide enough to have two people up front or it's just one.
No, it's only one, and the second passenger sits really small, crowded right behind them. So it's a tandem arrangement.
Does the second passenger have a pedals too?
That I don't know, and I doubt it. I don't think so.
Yeah, it'd be awesome if they all had pedals, right?
So what do you think of it?
Looks more. Well, they claim it looks a little bit like a Fiat, and I'd say that's probably pretty true. It does look a little bit like a Fiat. And there's a guy that I've seen on LinkedIn. His name like Marcus Schulten or something like that. That's building a 2-wheel vehicle. I can't remember if it's 2 wheels in the front or 2 in the back, but it's like an enclosed motorcycle. So you could drive it in the wintertime. And that's a really interesting, it's called like the Trinova or something like that. It's a really interesting looking thing because his whole thing is not only is it electric, because it's thin, it's only 3 feet wide.
Right.
You could slide right down between lanes.
Yeah.
And
lane sharing.
Lane sharing.
Or lane splitting, sorry.
Lane splitting, yeah. You can do what motorcycles do and just cut down the lane and avoid
but only in states where they allow that, one of which being California, and I think maybe Washington State.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering where all that's legal. You don't I've seen it in Omaha, people like at a traffic light doing stuff like that, but but I mean, a motorcycle's so fast that, and I assume this vehicle is probably real quick too, but the interior gives you bike mashup vibes. It's like a recumbent style seat that allows riders to lean back while working the bicycle pedals. The pedals aren't a direct drive setup, but they power a hybrid generator.
Right.
Something that's become more common on larger cargo e-bikes. It's called the pedaling.
We lost your audio.
We did. Am I back? Let's see. Am I quiet to everybody? I mean, I don't know. I mean, my speaker seems to indicate I'm fine. Can somebody in chat just tell me if they hear me okay?
Nothing.
Let's see.
Do you hear me?
All right. Somebody just messaged me. Yeah,
Sorry,
I hear
folks,
you.
We're having a little bit of a technical problem here. I don't know if you can hear me or you can hear Dave. I'll just
they can hear me. They can hear me. So I got a private message saying that they can hear me. Anyways, it's
here. Go over here.
It's Bill can't hear me, and I keep talking like Bill can hear me. Okay, good. Thank you, Bobby. Anyways, I'm going to keep on talking. But this bicycle has a pedaling energy recovery system. Okay, can you hear me now? We've been able to hear you. Yeah, people. Yeah, a couple people in the chat are saying that they can hear both of us.
Huh.
Bill, it's your speakers. It's your speakers. It's something with your speakers, or your headset died.
Oh well.
Um, but it looks like you have a wired headset. Um, so, anyways, I'll keep talking while
Testing
Bill
one,
fills
two,
out
three.
his thing. We hear you, Bill. Um, but it has a pedaling energy recovery system. The human integrated drivetrain is said to convert human power into bicycle propulsion through electricity, allowing the rider to intuitively control speed and braking by pedaling. Um, but it has glass and air conditioning. So uh, let's see here what it looks like. Oh, this has kind of got a cool looking interior. I don't know if I can make this a little bigger. Let's see here. But there's like the interior pedaling. You see some controls up here. Looks like air conditioning up top here. I mean, the idea of something like this, um, yeah, one pedal cycling. Let's see here. And then here's the back. So you got some room there to store some stuff, although I'll be afraid that ski would hit me in the head. Let's see. Bill's still trying to figure his thing out. So the Vigaz seems positioned for real utility. There's room for a passenger in a tandem configuration or enough space for a decent amount of cargo. The pass-through design can apparently be used for skis. Here's a look at what it basically looks at like if it didn't have the chassis, or I'm sorry, if it didn't have the covering on it. So still, that's a pretty good look. And I guess it's got a pretty big pedal setup. They haven't listed a price or open reservation lists, but it just I like the idea of having the human powered aspect to it. I think that's got a neat play. I can't think of the name of the company we had before. It was really popular, but they only had they weren't fully enclosed, but you were protected from rain and you had a front windshield. And the vehicle was very safe. They'd had lots of accidents and nobody'd been seriously hurt because they've been.
The BMW scooters?
No, I'm thinking of the one we had the guys on here from that company where a VC firm came and bought him out, and then he ended up buying the company back when they
Oh yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
make it
yeah.
work.
No, no, no. I know who you mean. Yeah, yeah.
Um, what was the efficiency of the Flintstones cars? You know, it didn't really get into any technical numbers there. I just kind of liked the idea. The one that we had on before had a solar roof
Right,
on top of the
right, right.
thing. And even if you weren't pedaling, I think during the daytime, you could go almost 20 miles per hour just on the solar roof on a flat surface. But you were constantly pedaling and the battery was being charged while you were pedaling, and so but you could actually use assist and go all the
Yeah.
way up to about 28 miles per
Oh,
hour.
he's yeah, and I've known him for ages, but right now the name of the thing slips my mind. So
Yeah, I get that. And because it had a unique and a member of their Facebook group too, and it's just always interesting to see because people are looking to buy used ones so they can cannibalize them. And that has been I'm gonna remember what it is in just a second here because I'm looking it up. um, let's see. Yes, take me just a second here. um, but it was just such a great vehicle. Just a second here. Next. Man, it's driving me crazy not being able to remember what.
I know, and I've known him even longer than you have, but I just
Yeah, I mean, I loved their deal, and not being able to remember what it is kind of driving me crazy here. Oh, you know what? I know what I did wrong. Sorry, folks. I'm being. I just it's driving me crazy not being able to remember
Elf.
what the elf. There we go.
Yep,
There you go.
elf.
Organic transport.
Yep.
The
Works for us.
organic transport. Yes. Yeah. That was. I don't know what this is. Piezoelectric shock absorbers. Is that a fancy word for using your shoes?
Piezoelectric is a concept when you apply a pressure to certain types of minerals that generates electricity. It's sort of how when supposedly we're about to have an earthquake, you'll see unusual lighting effect, ball lightning, and things of that nature. That's the piezoelectric. That's when you apply pressure to something, and when you apply pressure, it generates electrical current. If I'm correct, and tell me everybody if I'm just blowing steam and hot air there. So, but I think if my memory serves, that's piezoelectric. So.
All right. So let's talk about a 2008 Tesla Roadster for sale. It only has 574 miles on the odometer. It's for sale for $165,000.
Oh, I'm going to go up and ask my wife for some money.
There you go. You know what's funny is 574 miles has an original 53 kilowatt hour battery pack. Can you imagine how much that 53 kilowatt hour must have cost in 2008?
Oh,
I mean, that was probably $100,000.
That was $100,000 right there, yeah.
Just for that battery. But it only had 248 horsepower and 200 foot-pound of torque, which is still a fair amount for a little two-seater. That's still a fair amount.
I rode in one of those early cars, and I'll tell you, it'll put you back in the seat.
I'm sure it's quick. You know, it's surprising to see that. Oh, I like this ad. Bug assault. It's like a shotgun to shoot flies out of the air with salt. Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Just don't have it when there are police in the area because they may mistake it for a real firearm.
You know what's funny? From the back, it looks kind of like a Miata.
Oh yeah.
Weren't they originally based? Weren't these based on the Lotus?
Yeah, it was a Lotus Elise.
Yeah.
The chassis is the Lotus Elise. Yeah.
Let's see. I guess that was all of the pictures of it, but yeah, it's a lot of money for one, but it's still almost
collector's item. Be interesting to know what.
Yeah, definitely a collector's item.
What serial number it is.
Let's see if that is given in the article. Does not say.
No, generally no. They won't show that.
Yeah. Give me just a second here. I may be able to. I'm actually looking at the ad.
We have, here, by the way, folks, we have here in the eastern Nebraska area, we actually have one of the early production roasters belongs to Dr. Don Cox down in Lincoln, and I haven't actually driven it, but I have. He brings it up occasionally to various car shows and things like that. He's got a red one, so yeah, we do have at least one here in Nebraska.
It is a sharp-looking vehicle. It's only $164,999. Let's see. Let's see what it says. If it says anything about the numbers on it. Based on the chassis, the Lotus Elise. Let's see. Only 2,450 cars were made. Let's see. Doesn't look like it is going to tell us. Nope, it didn't tell us what the what number it was. still. Let's see. The natives would build a translucent rattler with quartz rocks they would use as a flashlight. So could you get light to store in the quartz for a little bit?
Probably for a short period of time, I would gather, and as static electricity, I would assume.
Hmm.
Now, I don't think it would last very. I mean, you'd have to be doing this, I guess, all the time to get any kind of serious light out of it.
Yeah. All right. So you found this article on Jeep's Recon Moab EV is finally shedding its camouflage. So Jeep has a electric heir to the Rubicon legacy. Blacked out, upright, unmistakably trail rated. The Moab edition was spotted in near production form. Let's see if I can show this here. At least it doesn't have weird camouflage on it. I mean, it looks distinctly Jeep. I mean, you'd have no idea this was electric looking at it. Even looking at that front, I mean, it's got a traditional Jeep grille. You would assume it was gas powered.
Yeah. So what you're looking at, I will be clear if you look and read the caption below, there are only about 2 photographs of this that, various guys were able to snapshot out in public. So I took one of those which showed the best view of the thing, and I said to Copilot, generate me an image of this vehicle and because I also in the article, which AI and I worked on today, I want you to put the Rivian in the Rivian R2 in the background because that could be a competitor to this particular vehicle.
Nice.
So that's what you're looking at is Copilot estimating based on the one image that I gave it, and I had to do this twice because the first time it came out with the gas-powered Rubicon, I said, no, that's not it. Here's what we're going to work with, and it built this image. So it was kind of nice. It was fun to do that. So that's what you're looking at is a AI rendered view of what the vehicle may look like when it finally reaches production. So,
yeah, it'd be interesting to see where this goes because Jeep is the one Stellantis brand that really makes profit. They typically sell really well with Jeeps, and Jeeps have really good margin on them.
See them all over here in Omaha.
Yeah, people love Jeeps, and I'm sure it's not just a U.S. thing. I'm sure that the brand is popular all over the world. But it's estimated this is going to cost $60,000 to $80,000. It's priced like a premium Wrangler, but faces a market increasingly skeptical of EVs without incentives. This is kind of your a problem here in the U.S. is that maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But if they don't have it, they'll never know, right?
Right.
And it could be a halo product without a halo strategy, launched into a landscape where dealer enthusiasm is cooling and consumer confidence is fragile. One of the big advantages that Tesla and some of these others have is that their market strategy of selling direct to consumers and not hassling people that come in to buy a car is so different, and it's such a refreshing, change on it.
Having been through that this spring and the hassle of dealing with a used car dealer, I don't want to do it again unless I absolutely have to. It's just not a pleasant experience.
No, I get that. And the R2 is planning to start around $45,000. So it's going to definitely be something that Jeep is going to have to prove itself, right?
Yep.
In terms of coming out with an electric vehicle. All right. Anyways, that's all I've really got time for today. Once again, before the show ends, if anybody has an interest in distributing electric vehicle chargers in some way or battery storage, please reach out to me through EV World. Anyways, otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow with engineer Mike Herzog, and I'll be back with Bill next Tuesday.
Yep.
Anyways, all right. Otherwise, folks, have a great week. Thank you.